What's up? What's up? What's up? This is your boy Josh with Fine by Me podcast. You're on the Patreon, so we appreciate it. This is our boy TCAT, Travis TCAT Utley. You know him if you're on the
Hey,
Patreon. We decided we would do something fun and we would start doing some movie reviews, old movies and new movies, whatever. If you get on this and you like it, you could even give us some ideas for movies and we can put them
definitely,
on the wheel. We're
definitely.
doing this all random. We're just spinning it out. And I think we're going to start the episode with a wheel spin.
Right here.
So we're doing the other guys,
The
directed
other
by Adam
guys.
McKay. Yeah, directed by Adam McKay, written by Adam McKay, and starring a lot of people, but mostly Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg. I
For
think
sure.
probably most people have seen this movie. It's a classic.
I think so too. It is a classic. I think it's uh, probably seen it 4 or 5 times up until now. So
I
we're gonna.
forgot how funny this movie was.
How about we go watch it, come back, and get started.
It sounds good.
Yo, it's Josh and TCAT. Best believe that. Reeling in the truth. Stacking on the film snack. Popcorn popping. Critics keep talking. On this podcast, ain't no time for stalking. Real fine by me, we keeping it free. Josh and TCAT, the hosts you wanna see. Movie reviews, jokes that ain't new. Keep it locked in, cause we know what to do. Lights, camera, action, movie main attraction. Critics we ain't, but we got that passion. Breaking down the scenes, funny like memes. Josh and T-Cat, man, living the dream.
All right. So I sit down and watch this movie with my 14-year-old son. First
Yeah.
time, uh, first time he's ever seen it. Like I said before, it's probably the fifth time I've seen it. So that was interesting because I forgot how crazy this movie is.
It's unhinged.
It is unhinged.
What did he
Uh,
think about it?
I think he kept looking at me and just mouthing WTF like every 10 minutes because it felt like it would get a slowdown point, and then all of a sudden it turned a corner and it was just the most outlandish thing you could think of, right?
Yes.
So um, the movie starts off automatically wild. Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock are driving what I might consider my like holy grail of cars.
You like that Chevelle?
Those Chevelles are beautiful. A 69
Yeah.
Chevelle with a
Black with white
454
stripes.
SF. I would prefer a red one with black stripes. That's just me. But they instantly destroy that thing,
Yeah.
right? I mean, within the first 3 minutes, they run it through the Trump tires, which, and doing some research for this, apparently Donald Trump told them they could use Trump Tower as long as he got a cameo in the movie. And since you just
Right.
watched it and I just watched it, you know he is not in that movie, right?
I didn't find him anywhere.
No. So they recorded it and then cut it because Adam McKay didn't want, because that right after they did that, he decided he was going to run for president. He didn't want the
Uh,
publicity of it. So he
I
was
get
supposed to be
that.
in that movie and never was in it. So
That's
they
pretty cool.
they destroyed that car, and then 2 scenes later they got another one just like it but opposite colors and
Yeah.
destroy that one too.
Yeah, it was silver, wasn't it? Like
Yeah,
silver and black. Yeah, it was
silver
sick
with black
too.
streak. Yeah,
I think it was a 71. The other one was a 7. You can always tell by the dual headlights in the front. That's a
right.
7. 71,
Both
72 single headlight.
both beautiful cars. I can't
Oh,
believe they
yeah.
destroyed those
And
things.
then you think that they're going to do some like
Right,
heroic stuff, and they end up
right.
jumping off of that skyscraper to their deaths. And like,
To
aim
their
for the
deaths.
bushes. You're talking from a 350 feet in the air.
So
It's
yeah, that
incredible.
I didn't mention it to my son when he was watching it, and he was like, "What in the world is going on here?" They died, 5 minutes into the movie.
I
And I
went
was
and
like,
watched that movie in theaters when it come out, and I remember like watching it, and I was like, "What's going to happen now?" I was like, "These two huge stars in the movie have died at the very beginning." I was like, "Man, this is crazy." I pretty much, for my research, I like love movie quotes, and like I
yeah,
think there's been so many like iconic movie quotes that have come from this movie that I had forgot about. Like, and I'm not going to go through them all right now. We can, they'll come up
yeah,
organically, I hope. But so at the beginning of the movie, it starts out like you got these two badass cops, like your
yeah.
typical like who would I compare like a Lethal Weapon maybe kind of
Right.
deal, like
Yeah. Kind of deal. Like
yeah,
macho, uh, action guys. Like this should be a
get all
big
the
budget
ladies,
action movie. Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, so that's what I was thinking. And then it goes before they jump off the building though, it goes to like them like celebrating. Like they're giving
Right.
this huge press conference and stuff. And they're like, there's this guy. I will never forget this guy. It's like the little, he's like their local hot dog vendor. And he's like,
Yes.
Bex and Hodge, whatever their names are, free hot dogs for life. And the crowd cheers. And he goes, no
Yes.
drinks
No
though. No
drinks. No
drinks.
drinks. I can't
No
do it. I
drinks.
can't do it.
The drinks. Like it's just man, the subtle like satire in
Yes.
like the movie. It's the whole movie though because there's another part that I caught because I rewatched it again last night because I watched it once yesterday and I watched it again last night because I kind of had a hard time falling asleep. I was like, you know what, I'm going to
Right.
throw this back on. Well, I caught the part of where the guy that's like I would guess the antagonist of the movie. I can't
Right.
think of his name. Richard, whatever.
Yeah.
Richard,
The bad guy.
yeah, the bad guy. He's like supposed to portray Bernie
Madoff.
Madoff, yeah,
Yeah.
and all these Ponzi schemes. Well, Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell get taken out of the office to work this case. They think it's just going to be, we're going to keep these guys distracted. They're a handful. Will Ferrell's character is like an accountant, like a forensic
Right.
accountant. And Mark Wahlberg's character is in trouble because he shot Derek Jeter.
I know. This is the thing. You know Josh, and we've talked about this before. I'm a huge Derek Jeter fan.
Right. Yankees in general.
Right. And Yankees in general. Derek Jeter was my favorite baseball player. The first time I'd seen this movie and seen him walking down the steps, I was like, "That's Derek Jeter," and then he shoots him, and I feel like everybody else, like he shot
Yeah,
Derek
man.
Jeter
Yes.
in the World
And
Series,
so,
apparently.
and like Mark Wahlberg's character plays like this like huge like toxic masculine character. Like he's like
Yeah.
doesn't want to like give in to like all these like feminine qualities that like talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell is the exact opposite. He's like very comfortable with himself and just whatever. He's used to being made fun of. He doesn't care, whatever. And we will develop more of his character later as we get
For
through this,
sure.
and we'll figure out why he's the way he is.
Yeah.
But so back to that, what I was getting to though is so they're chasing this bad guy and different parts of the movie, he's like this, obviously like this scumbag businessman, con man. Well, he pretty much bribes these two guys with like tickets to like these plays, like Jersey Boys and Knicks games.
Knicks
And
tickets.
I think one of the funniest parts of the movie is after they get courtside Knicks tickets, it shows Will Ferrell like the Knicks hat on. He's like, Knicks go Knicks #1. And he sits down beside Mark Wahlberg. He's like, he did it again. Talking about, giving them like under the table
Yes.
bribes. And he has like this fancy water, like when they walk in, like all these like
The
bullshit.
cucumber. The cucumber
The
just sets the
cucumber.
water out.
He said, this is the most delicious water I've ever drank. And they go back like the third time after they're pissed off. And that girl's like, would you like a couple waters? And Mark Wahlberg's like, no. And Will Ferrell's like, man, I was really looking forward to that water. He's like,
That's,
not today. And
it's
then
like
they do bad
Glacier.
cop, bad cop, bad
Yes,
cop, bad cop.
bad cop is great. So you touched on it a little bit. We look at their story arc, and Mark Wahlberg's this macho man,
Yeah.
but when they reveal his backstory, he's actually pretty lighthearted, kind of soft guy who's in love with this girl that he no longer has a relationship with, and he
She's like
just
a
wants her back.
dancer.
And she's a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
That to me, when he goes in and sees her, is one of the funniest parts of the movie. you're in here working the poles. And she's like, these poles are horizontal. And then he goes, well, I can do this stuff. And he breaks out this ballet dance, which
This
is,
really good dance.
yeah, which is 100% you can tell it's not Mark Wahlberg doing it. They cut his
Right.
face out. They zoom in on his feet.
It's like a guy
And
doing plies and stuff, like
yeah,
jumping in the air.
and Will Ferrell's in the background just saying nonsense like Will Ferrell always does.
Yeah, like he's this great dancer. Like I can't believe he's ashamed of this.
Yeah. And then they get outside after she runs him out. And he was like, how'd you learn to dance like that? And he was like, well, I wanted to show those kids that dance like that how gay they looked. And he was like, so you
Yeah.
learned to dance like that to bully someone?
And he's like, yeah, just to see. Like he calls them fairies or something, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Like dancing
Yeah.
fairies.
So
I'm a
that cracked
peacock.
me
You
up.
got to let me fly.
So I want to rewind a minute. Uh, Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock, they're in for maybe 10 minutes of the movie. I did some research. How much do you think they paid them two actors for those 10 minutes in that movie?
Was it the same price?
I've got a range is what I found. It wasn't a
Okay.
real,
Okay.
so they were in a hour and a half long movie for 10
Mhm.
minutes of it.
I'm gonna say between 2 and 3 million.
From what I can find, The Rock made $9 million for this.
Golly, just for that cameo, pretty
Yeah.
much.
And Samuel L. Jackson apparently made close to the same.
Jeez, dude, I gotta be an actor.
$9 million. You know, they were there 2 days
Two,
tops.
3 days, yeah.
Because most of
Golly.
that works was probably their stunt doubles.
Stunt. Yeah, stunt.
Yeah. So
They're not jumping off buildings.
no, for sure
And they're
not.
not wrecking cars either. They might be driving them, and acting it through, but they're not wrecking them.
So I'm sitting
It's
here
incredible.
with Joe, my son, and right at the very beginning, they're in the office, and Mark Wahlberg gets up and he's like, "I'm a lion, and if you were a tuna, I'd come out there and eat you." And I'm like, "Son, you got to listen to this."
Yeah.
I get his attention, and then Will Ferrell's character goes through that whole thing about now we have a taste of lion. We've developed a contraption. We're coming on land. We're hunting you. That didn't go how you thought it was, right? That whole thing, it's great. He's
Yeah.
laughing. My son's laughing. He's going crazy. He's like, how do they come up with this stuff? Apparently, Will Ferrell completely made that up on the spot. That whole rant,
He's great at that, man.
great
I don't
at it.
think anybody else can improv like him. Him and Zach Galifianakis, I think, are two of the
Yes.
best, like, now time improvisation guys ever, excuse me. But also the part, like, where they go to the funeral after they die and they, like, are in,
Yes.
like, that house and they're fighting and, like, they, like,
They're all
all
whisper
crowd
fighting.
around and they're all whisper fighting, dude. I was in the kitchen while that was playing yesterday. I got up to get something and that part come on and I was like, dude, this movie is absolute. Like they hit every stereotype that you can
Oh, for
almost
sure.
hit. It's so smart, man. Adam McKay also did that movie, Don't Look Up with the
Yes. Yeah, I've watched that.
asteroid. Yeah, that's a
I've
pretty
seen
wild
it.
movie. But,
So
it's just,
I,
man.
we get to the point where they're trying to figure out all the ends of this stuff, and they keep thinking it might be the lottery. And so they get the bad guy for the scaffolding violations. They're taking him out, and the Russians, I think they were, come in
Yeah.
and take him. Right? They
Yeah.
strip their car. They take their shoes off, which is a running gag in this movie. Every time they catch them, they take their
Take
shoes for
their
some reason.
shoes. Yeah.
Uh, they steal Will Ferrell's wooden gun because he did a desk pop, right?
Right.
Um,
And they ship him
it,
out to Las Vegas, man, on a
yeah,
train.
yeah. The second time they take his shoes, they send him to
Yeah.
Las Vegas. That's funny to me too. When they're there in Las Vegas, Mark Wahlberg's character has a drink and Will has a shirt on. So they got to Las Vegas and went and did stuff before they ever called the captain.
I missed that part. I didn't even think about that. You're right. They really did. They like went to eight or went to like the casino
Yes.
or something.
So
Michael Keaton's always quoting TLC lyrics
TLC.
throughout
He
the
said,
song, throughout the movie.
you don't say creep creep without quoting TLC. You don't say it twice without being from TLC. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't go
Don't
chasing
go chasing
waterfalls.
waterfalls.
Man. So,
So
and then, so, after, oh, whenever Will Ferrell is like telling Mark Wahlberg to come over his house to like help him like work on the case. He's like,
Yes.
"Why don't you come over tonight and have dinner?" He goes, "I'm going to warn you though, my wife's going to be there, and she's a big old bra, and she ain't afraid to wield it." So you're like thinking like, who's his wife? So you
Right.
get to his house, and like they're sitting at the table going through all these cases, and she walks in, and he's
Yeah.
like, "You look like absolute shit." And then Mark Wahlberg looks up, he goes, "Who's this?" He's like, "This is my wife." He goes, "Who is this lady?" And Mark Wahlberg is just absolutely in
Sheila.
awe.
Her name's
Yeah,
Sheila.
Sheila. The whole time that they're like, he's over there. He can't, like, they're eating dinner. He can't believe it. And it's Eva Mendes. And he
Right.
cannot
Yeah.
believe that he's like, that's his wife.
Yeah.
So a lot of
That
character
cracks me up.
development happens in that, just in that scene. And there at the end, he's like, "Thanks for supper, Sheila." And he's like, "All right, we'll see you tomorrow." He's like, "Shut up." He's
Bye,
like, "Go
Sheila.
inside." He's like, "Go inside."
He keeps saying bye, Sheila. And
Bye,
he's like,
Sheila.
Will
Love
Ferrell
you, Sheila.
character's like, hey, I don't think he heard me. See ya. He's like, bye, Sheila.
I like whatever. He's like, "Sheila, I won't ever forget tonight." Won't ever forget. I won't ever forget tonight in this pot roast. Absolutely insane. And then whenever they go, like the next day, they're like investigating, they go to that tax place and it blows up. And he's like,
Yeah.
"That shit they do in the movies where they just run away." He goes, "That's total bullshit. I call bullshit."
They can't just walk away.
Yeah, I call
Which,
bullshit on that.
which I think's funny because Mark Wahlberg is one of those guys in his other movies who are always walking away from explosions like that. If you ever watch The Shooter he's in, at the end of it, they blow that house up and he's just walking
Yeah.
away like nothing happens.
I'll tell you where it doesn't happen though is the movie Deep Horizon.
Yeah.
He doesn't walk away from that one.
Yeah.
That was pretty real though. This is a totally different movie, but real quick, they built that whole like platform like in a set.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy. Maybe that'll be on the list one day. I don't know. That's a good
Yeah.
movie
We'll have to put that on the list as well because that
for
is a good one.
sure. And then Gator
Uh,
needs some new pair. Gator needs some new shoes.
so what, so what we find out over the course of this movie is that Will Ferrell's character,
He's a
uh,
ladies' man.
is a ladies' man because all the hot women are like
They
winking at
love
him
him.
and they love him. And, we find out when he was in college, this girl decided that she needed protection while she went out on dates with guys. And he provided her protection and handled the money and helped set up the dates. And then before too long, he had a collection of girls going on dates. He never says that they were doing anything, right? While
Right.
Wahlberg's character is, you're a pimp.
He's
That's,
like,
that's,
you can't
that's
have a
pimping.
conscience and be a pimp.
So what we find out is Mark Wahlberg's character's backstory is the opposite of what he is now. And we also find out about Will Ferrell's character, right? Like he's the opposite
Yes.
of what he used to be. They kind of flip flop. So,
Whenever it cuts to that scene, that flashback of Will Ferrell with that kangaroo hat on or whatever, that
yes,
Kango
he's like,
hat, and got that
he's got a
gold
knife.
teeth in, he's rubbing the knife on his cheek, dude. I'm gonna set that as my wallpaper.
That would be
Just
good.
pimps don't cry, man. Pimps don't cry. Pimps don't cry. Eva Mendes
So,
has that song she sings to him to soothe him. Pimps don't cry.
yes, kids don't cry.
Well, then, so she gets pregnant. He
Right?
finds out she's pregnant. So he goes back into pimp mode because he's stressed
Right.
out. And he's like, what man did this to you? Gators bitches use Jimmy hats. And she's like, "Yeah, get out." And she kicks him out of the house. So he has
Yep.
to go live. Doesn't he go stay with Mark Wahlberg?
Yes. And,
Yeah.
they're still working on this, case, even though they've been told numerous times not to by the
Right.
captain, right?
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton,
Yep.
Batman.
Who also works at Bed Bath and Beyond at nighttime
Yes. Which is
to
a
put his
great
daughter through college, I think.
through college is what he said. Yeah. He's trying to put it
Yeah.
through it. In his words, to go learn how to be gay at some liberal arts college. That's what he said.
It's hilarious.
So,
Absolutely hilarious. It's a very raucous movie, man.
it is every turn. And that's what my son was like. As soon as I think it's going to settle down, it's something else. And I'm like, yeah, this whole movie's this way.
Yeah,
So,
dude. It's incredible. I I forgot how like clever it was because it came out in 2010. And if I'm sure you remember, like there was like all those like drink companies and what was it, like Zija and what was another big one that was like a Ponzi scheme? I forget all the names of it, but there was like so many like around that time. Like, like all your buddies would be like, hey
Yeah,
man, tap in. You don't want to miss out on these deals. You talk to them, they'd be like, dude, that sounds like straight up con. Like,
right.
like there might be one person or two people making money out of like 20. You know what I mean? So how it hit on all that and Bernie Madoff, which he was like this guy that I guess they're kind of satirically portraying in the movie, and how
Right.
corrupt the financial system is, and how it's really hard because it shows like Mark Wahlberg, or not Mark Wahlberg, Michael Keaton, their boss. Even though he's got a really good job, he's like the captain or the chief of police. He still has to
Yeah.
work at nighttime to afford like these general things for his life, and you've got these people making billions of dollars that are just pretty much not doing shit. They're just,
Yeah.
being these faces of these terrible corporations or whatever.
Yeah. And what we find out at the end of this movie is the whole time they think they're targeting the lottery. They're
Yeah.
really targeting these cops' pension plans, right? So
Right.
that's why they were being so protective of him, because the company he was working for was supposed to be helping them with their pension, and they were trying to take him down. And we found out that he's really just trying to steal $32 million from the NYPD pension
Yeah,
plan.
like their union or whatever. Because
Yeah.
remember, like those the union people started like like threatening them pretty much. Like, hey
Yeah.
man, like you need to back up.
Yeah.
You need to back
He
up off
said
this.
that guy's really high up. I've only seen him down here twice. And I think the first time he was lost.
Right, right. Yeah. So you have to catch these. There's so many subtleties throughout the movie too. You kind of like little Easter eggs.
Yeah. It's
But
full of that stuff. People break down Marvel movies when they come out frame by frame. Look at this, look at this. But I think you could do that with this movie. Just the little things that they say. Like I said, I've
I think
watched it 4 or 5 times, and I even this time we just watched it, I was catching stuff I didn't remember or didn't think of then. And it's crazy.
it's
It's a
incredible.
good watch.
Do you have a favorite quote from the movie?
I pulled some up. Hold on.
Okay.
That
You got any
I
trivia
really
or
like.
anything?
I've kind of gave some of the trivia
Okay.
so I found this Screen Rants article. It's the top 15 quotes from this movie. So apparently, The Rock at the begin, or Ice-T, who narrates the movie. We didn't mention that. Ice-T narrates the
Right.
movie. He's not credited at the end. He's not in the credits anywhere, but he did narrate the movie. Says there's a fine line between law and chaos, and that's when you meet Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock, and he's hanging on top of the car, and Samuel's driving it.
Yeah.
So
He
that,
kind of like brings it in. Like, I mean, Ice-T, whenever he's narrating something, it's going to be something either wild or
yeah,
serious. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. Captain Gene says, "Don't go chasing waterfalls,"
Yeah.
which we said at the exact same time earlier, which was great. Number 13. So you learned how to dance like that sarcastically?
I like, I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly.
Oh, yeah, that's right at the very beginning of the movie. That's
Cause
one of
he's
my
like,
favorites as well.
Mo Keaton's like, peacocks don't fly. And Will Ferrell goes, yeah, they get off the ground a little bit. And Mo Keaton goes, yeah, about as much as a penguin does.
All right, I'm gonna let you expand on this one because I think you're gonna want to talk about this. You
Yeah.
turned my beautiful Prius into a nightmare.
That would
So,
be, Dirty Mike
right,
and the boys.
Dirty Mike and the boys after they
Whenever
finally
they
met Dirty Mike.
find, well, leading up to that part, they go through that chase and he runs through that cocaine or whatever. And those
Yes.
cops, which is, Damon Wayans Jr. and Rob Riggle.
Yep.
And
Two great comedian actors on their own.
yes, right. And they're like, it looks like Scarface just sneezed on your car. And I think that's a hilarious joke.
Yes.
So anyway, the car ends up getting stolen like that night or whatever. So he's like, the very next day, like, hey man, we found good news. We found your Prius, but turns out a couple of homeless guys and a raccoon gave birth in your floorboard. He said those homeless guys, they just kind of steal these cars. They don't take them. He said they just like to have big orgies in them.
Yeah,
And
orgies.
he's like, we found this note from Dirty Mike and the boys. Thanks for the fuck shack or for the F shack. He
Yeah,
goes, and we found 12 unscratched lottery tickets. And then it shoots to the next scene. They're sitting in this really nice
he's
Italian
scratching them.
restaurant, and Mark Wahlberg's at the table scratching. He goes, not even a free ticket.
Not even a free ticket.
Man. What's that
And then
band that Will Ferrell's listening to? The Little River Band or
the
whatever?
Little River Band, yes.
Yeah, they're
It is
running to
called.
a crime scene, and it's like, like this, like yacht rock. And Mark Wahlberg puts on this heavy metal, and he's like, he's like, no, man, we can't have that. What a great movie.
I've always got Little River Band loaded up because he
Always.
plays CD.
Yeah, and he
I got
talks about how
6 discs in this thing.
he talks about how that Prius was his first like ever like new car. His first new car he's ever bought. And that other guy's like, yeah, man, I got a Prius myself. They're a real sweet little machine.
They run. Um, so yeah, we meet Dirty Mike and the boys later on in the movie
Yeah.
because they're sitting out by the river contemplating their relationships that are going bad. And the Prius is just sitting there and they're like, you want to join us for this orgy? And they're like, that's my car.
It's got like a primer door because the
Yes.
door been knocked off.
Yeah, the
Hilarious,
door
man.
goes through some stages as being regular, and then it's plastic wrap at one point, and then they put a gray door on it, so it goes through its
Absolutely
different thing. Let's see.
fantastic. Well,
So look at one of these other quotes here. Dirty Mike and the Boys was one of my favorite. If I want to hear you talk, I'll shove my arm up your ass and work your mouth like a puppet. At the very beginning from Samuel L. Jackson.
I like how they call Mark Wahlberg the Yankee Clipper. He goes to them meetings for like anger management, like it's the Yankee Clipper.
The Yankee
He's like,
Clipper.
he's like, you lost me $4,000. They're all pissed off at him. I still can't get over how much like a ladies' man Will Ferrell's character is. Like he goes to his ex-girlfriend's house and her husband's like trying to make him like it's like a cuckold. It's like, you stay and hang out for a little while. He goes, if you,
Yes.
he goes, her
Christina.
name is Christine.
Christina, I just passed this one up. It was Christina, you idiot. You come to our house, you get my wife's name
My wife's name, right. It's Christina.
and they leave, right? And they're sitting
Yeah.
there, they're leaving, they're parked, and they're talking, and they come running up behind them. They're like, how do you get here? That's 20 miles away. And they're running up behind them, chasing them. My
Oh
son
man.
looked at me and goes, they're going to show up again later on in this movie, aren't they? And he
You
thought they
thought
were
they
going to chase
would.
them to, which would have been a great gag, right? Like if later
Yeah,
on
like
in the
the
movie
end,
they showed up. But they
if they
didn't.
just showed up in the credits or something, that would have been hilarious.
So, let's see. Aim for the bushes. We got that one in. I think we all experienced a ballet, our own ballet today, a ballet of emotions. This is when at the very end. So Will Ferrell finds out he knows ballet. So that's when they're walking out of the ballet studio. They get kicked out right before he asks about learning dancing sarcastically. So those are the ones I kind of put in, as quotes that I really liked from this movie.
Man, I wrote down the I'm a peacock, the Yankee Clipper, Gator needs a new pair of shoes.
Gator needs a new pair of shoes.
Gator needs a new pair of shoes. Pimps
All
don't
right.
cry.
So, I want us to give our ratings, and I came up with a nice rating system to go with this. But first, I want to go through some of these Google reviews that I found, and they're wildly on opposite ends of the spectrum.
Let's hear a few of them.
People either love this movie or they hate it.
I can
Okay,
see that. I can see that though.
so this guy's named Dan. I'm not going to give full names just in case, but he said, "Are you kidding me? This movie is so bad. I had to Google the reviews. Curious to see the other comments, and I can't believe anyone actually liked this movie. It's just horrible. I'm surprised Mark Wahlberg did just an awful movie. He's a decent actor, and the stupidity of this movie is just mind-boggling that anyone could actually enjoy it. I would expect something like this from Will Ferrell, because that's all he really does is play stupid roles. Some movies he does are funny, but this one is just ridiculously awful. I couldn't think of a worse comedy in the past 20 years. For anyone that actually thinks it's funny, I feel sorry for you that you ended up with the horrible sense of humor. This movie is so bad.
Jeez.
1 star. 1 star.
1 star.
Dan, I've watched a lot of movies in the last 20 years. and this one is not the worst
No, no,
by
not even
far.
close.
So the
I
very next
think,
one, I got these in the same Google review. This glorious masterpiece is the Naked Gun of my generation. Such an underappreciated movie. The you should have shot A-Rod cracks me up every time.
yeah,
Farrell and
man.
Wahlberg, Keaton, and everyone in the cast, just perfection. I'm not alone when I say I'm still waiting on part two. 5 stars.
I thought it was great. So, what's this rating system you've come up with, TCAT?
All right. So I think when we do these, I want to do a different, a rating system for this show, which, as y'all seen it from the title sequence, it's called Real Fine by Me. We're based off of the Fine by Me podcast that we all know and love.
Boom.
So 0 to 5, and we won't have to go through this every time, but 0 will be not fine by me. 1 is barely fine by me. 2, kind of fine by me. 3, mostly fine by me. 4, real fine by me. And 5, really fine by me. So Josh, when you're looking at this movie, the masterpiece that it is, where would you rate
It
this thing?
is. Where I'm going to put it is I'm going to kind of go a little more technical.
Yeah,
So I'm going to kind of, since we're going to be doing a lot of movies, this is going to be, I mean, y'all are going to be just
yeah,
flooded with real fine by me movie reviews because I love movies. I know
I
TCAT
do
loves
too.
movies. The
I do
other
too.
guys might pop in from time to time. Who knows what might happen? But I think that I'm going to give the movie The Other Guys a Fine by Me score of a 3.9 out of 5, which would put us right at real fine by me, but mostly fine by me because I got to leave some room.
Yeah,
This is kind of the first one we're doing, and I think it's a
yeah,
great movie. It's funny. It hits all the spots I like. It's clever. It's quick. It's satirical. It's sarcastic. It's
yeah,
dry. At the same time, you have some action in it. You have that buddy comedy that everybody wants that they don't make anymore, that we need a lot. I think we could use those now.
for
There's
sure.
not any good comedy movies unless they're remaking old movies, and they can't do those correct because of this society we live in. So we're trying to change that. We're trying to bring it back.
Yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
is what we're trying to raise awareness. These great movies. We're going to throw in some classics. There's going to be some serious movies too. Who knows? There's going to be a wheel spin every episode, but I give it a 3.9. What do you
All
got,
right.
TCAT?
I'm with you on this. I'm somewhere between 3 and 4. I'm probably going to go like a 3.4. Mostly fine by me. I think there are much better comedy movies, but there's not many um, that are better than this. So, I think there's way more room for improvement, things that could have been done, but I think this stands up as being funny no matter when you watch it. It's been out for 14 years. It still makes me laugh, uh,
Holds up.
but it holds up. So 3.4 is where I'm going. Mostly
Sounds
fine
good,
by
man.
me. So
Sounds good.
I think
And
we, I
I
think we
think we're
pretty
coming
well
to
covered. Yeah,
yeah, we about covered this one, and we appreciate y'all listening. And like I said, we'll probably try to do one of these a week. I think
for sure.
is the plan for sure. I think we can do that, no problem. So if you we appreciate you listening and subscribing to the Patreon. And this has been real fine by me.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.